Okay, you guys, today I just need to get some things off my chest. Okay, I'm going to try to be brief, but y'all know how I can get. At this point, do y'all know what I'm tired of? I am tired of hearing grown people. I'm talking whole grown folks with microphones, degrees, grants, nonprofits, pulpits, platforms, and you name it. I'm tired of them crying about oppression while they're sitting in institutions that are already run by people who look exactly like them. Like, y'all are the ones in charge. I mean, have you looked around lately? I'm in Atlanta. AT Hell is what I like to call it. We've got black mayors, black city council, black police chiefs, black school superintendents, black school boards, a whole lot of black churches, a whole lot of black colleges. We got black nonprofits, black activists, black media voices, black thought leaders, black congressional districts. I mean, a whole black political machine that's run like a whole crime syndicate, and yet somehow, after all of that, are we still supposed to believe that the big bad boogeyman that is keeping Black America down is the rich white Republicans who, when you look around, y'all, they're nowhere near the dysfunction where all of this dysfunction is the worst. They ain't nowhere to be found. So I'm wondering, when we talk about Black liberation, my question is, what are y'all trying to be liberated from? Like, what in the heck does Black liberation actually look like? And so I thought about this. I said, I know I was going to go on this rant. And so I have a question for the pro-wokety woke, blackety black liberation crowd. My question is really simple. What is your end goal? Huh? Like, Roland Martin, can you answer that for me? What is your end goal? What about you, Mayor Johnson? Brandon Johnson up in Chicago, Al Sharpton, Jamal Bryant, can any of you please help a sister out? What does Black liberation actually look like? Because if Black control of the schools, Black control of churches, Black control of city government, Black control of the culture, Black control of the nonprofits, Black control of the law enforcement, leadership, the local politics, if all of that still ends in what I see, which is chaos, crime, dependency, fatherlessness, educational collapse, economic stagnation, sex savagery, and sinfulness, I mean, then maybe the problem is not that y'all lack power. That doesn't seem to be the problem to me. Maybe, just maybe the problem is what are y'all doing with the power when you get it? Right? Like, I'm on one today. So let's just go ahead and get into this. Greetings and peace, you guys. Welcome back to Unshakable. I'm April Chapman. I ain't got time for an intro because what I want to do is ask a question that a whole lot of people do not want asked. Because if you say it out loud, the whole question becomes a wrecking ball and it tears the whole structure down. But the question is simple. What is Black liberation actually supposed to look like? Right? What is it supposed to look like when Black people, if we're going to be honest, y'all are already dominating all of the institutions necessary for you to achieve greatness? I mean, y'all claim that you've been denied access. Okay, fine. Well, I just named a whole bunch of sectors where you don't just have representation, but I'm talking like these are the areas where you dominate in. So at some point, somebody has to stop shouting slogans such as no justice, no peace, when you can't even define what that means. But perhaps maybe y'all should start answering for all of the trash outcomes that we see. Right? I don't care about your feelings. I really don't. I don't care about your feelings, your hashtags, your alleged trauma. I care about the outcomes. So I'm told I'm a sellout, but I'm the one that cares more about the outcomes. Y'all have been on this revolutionary gravy train for decades. But if your revolution has been going on that long and the people are still poor, they still angry, they still dependent, still uneducated, still over-medicated, absolutely overweight, underemployed, politically manipulated, and just morally disoriented, maybe your revolution is a fraud. Okay, isn't it safe at this point? I think we've had enough years of y'all in charge to say maybe the revolution is the grift. So let's just start. Let's start right here. What exactly are y'all fighting for? I need to know this, because when I hear the pro wokety woke blackety black crowd, y'all will whine and cry about how you want and need and are just demanding liberation. I keep hearing y'all use words like justice, equity, representation, and power to the people, and we need our voices heard, and we don't feel safe, and we need more resources, and we need more investment here, investment there. But the question still remains, liberation from what exactly? Huh? Right? Because if liberation means access, I'm like, okay, well, y'all already have that. And if liberation means representation, y'all have plenty of that too. And if liberation means political power, I just told y'all Black Americans have exercised enormous political power. Every blue city, name one, 9 times out of 10, it is run by y'all. It's run by y'all. So if liberation means cultural influence, we can examine Black cultural influences in music and sports and fashion and entertainment. Y'all slang, right? You got influence in politics. You got whole congressional Black districts. Y'all are controlling a lot of the advertising. The social discourse on a national level is orbiting around the Blackness. So again, liberation to what? Like, what is the end goal? Because if the answer is not clear, then I surmise to say that your movement is not a liberation movement. It's an emotional management system. And y'all are running a permanent grievance machine, and somebody's getting paid, but the outcomes are still trash. I mean, at this point, it's a psychological business model that's built on convincing people that no amount of progress is ever enough, because the point is not freedom. The point's not freedom or progress. The point is the agitation. It's the dependency, it's control. And this is what I need people to understand. A lot of this so-called liberation language, y'all, it's not designed to produce responsibility. No, it's designed to produce what it's been producing: an endless appetite for new oppressors, new excuses, new programs, new subsidies, new demands, more begging, whining, and crying, more government intervention, new moral immunity for all of the failure that we see. And if that is the end goal, then I say, well, look at here. The Marxists and the communists have succeeded. They have succeeded and reached their goal, because we can say without a shadow of a doubt that the Black community, by and large, is a government-dependent, Marxist voting bloc that they just use identity politics. It's a narcotic to them. Now, I've heard this said a lot, but y'all claim that white supremacist Republicans are the main reason that Black America is in despair today. And I'm like, okay, if that is true, why is it that no one can answer for me that all of the places with the deepest dysfunction are the places where the Republicans are nowhere near the controls? Like, y'all are the ones in charge, right? Y'all are running the whole show. How do we know this? I just gave you, name the Black majority city run by conservatives or Republicans. Go ahead, I'll wait. Name me a black majority city that's run by conservative Republicans. I can't find one. Everywhere y'all rule, you're going to find failing schools, crime out spiraling out of control. You'll find a completely broken down and eroded family structure that's completely collapsed. You're also going to find a dependency pipeline that never ends. It's just EBT and free childcare and free healthcare. Give me Medicaid this, Medicaid that. Free, free, free. I'm trying to understand. On top of that, you have this political machine. And it runs like the engine that runs this political machine is just corrupt through and through with a bunch of y'all in charge. So the truth is this, in all of those cities, the people making the decisions, they look like the people who are suffering under the decisions. And yet somehow y'all want me to believe that we should be outsourcing this blame. Why is the blame always outsourced? Huh? Why is it always white supremacy and systemic racism? And well, that's just implicit bias and, underinvestment at work. And you also know we got to deal, with the historical trauma and what's really happening is you see coded in all of this language and dog whistling and microaggressions is that's what's really the problem. Like, for y'all, everything gets blamed. Everything gets blamed except your policies, except your negative government incentives, except the values that you teach to your children. And the leaders actually running the show never accept responsibility for these trash outcomes. I'm sorry, y'all are the problem. There it is. I said it, clip it and send it to them. Y'all are the problem. Because if you can run City Hall, but you can't seem to figure out how to get the sanitation to run right, you can run the school board, but y'all can't produce any sort of literacy. You're running the district attorney's office, Fonnie Willis, but you can't protect law-abiding people. You're running all of the churches, Jamal Bryant, but you produce zero moral clarity. I don't understand it. Y'all are starting and running the nonprofits, but you can't even reduce the generational dysfunction that we see in the community. I'm sorry. Nobody believes you. The problem is not a lack of representation. Y'all don't need DEI. You in and of yourself are the problem. You are the problem. You've adopted a corrupt vision for yourself. You've grabbed a hold to one of the most morally bankrupt ideologies, and it's the ideology that is fueling your bootleg leadership. It's in here. I'm telling y'all, I figured it out. I looked around. I looked around at all of the other people groups and communities in this country that are flourishing and just doing well. And when you look at those communities, you don't have nearly the amount of representation and access to power and leadership that the Black community has. And I realized that I said, you know what, representation ain't the problem. I never see Asians and Indians and Africans and Hispanics fighting over, we don't have an Asian congressional caucus and we need more people on the Supreme Court and we don't have enough senators that look like us. Like, you never hear them speak in these kinds of categories. And that's when I realized that representation is not the problem. It's the ideology that y'all have been clinging to that has poisoned you with a socialistic framework instead of a capitalistic framework. What do I mean? When you talk about all the government dependency, and you talk about all of the dysfunction in the Black community, it is very simple. When you see a people that function from a socialistic framework, it trains people to think like dependents instead of builders. You see it in real time. It trains you to look to government and to leaders to figure out things for you and to provide you with the resources that you think you need to thrive. This is where all of the begging comes from. You've been trained to be socialistic. But if you compare that socialistic framework to a capitalistic framework, if we had the prevailing mindset of capitalism, you wouldn't want anything from the government. Like the Black community, you would want them to get the heck out of your way and as limited government as possible, especially if you really believed in your heart of hearts that everything was racist and oppressive. You would want as little government intervention as possible. You absolutely wouldn't care about any political representation. You would be out here functioning like the Indians, functioning like the Asians and the Africans and all of these other people groups, starting businesses. You'd be dominating everything economically, and you wouldn't even be worried about all of the symbolism. Right? The things that we tend to focus on, we got the Crown Act passed because, the hair discrimination, and we got Juneteenth because, we is free now. Like, I've yet to see an Indian or an Asian or a Nigerian community. I don't see them lobbying for anything. Like, where are their legislative bodies that represent them? Do you think they care who runs their congressional district? They don't. You know what they care about? They care about how many gas stations can we put in that community over there, right? Like they're caring about things like how many hotels and motels can we own in your neighborhood? Asians, same thing. They want to know how many nail salons, how many beauty supply stores can we open up? Like it's never enough. The more the merrier. They're thinking and training their children. Which math and science classes do Chung Lee and Kirpal Patel need to take in order to where they can take and dominate all of the STEM jobs and leave your little whining and crying behind in the dust to complain? These are the things they're thinking about. Are we thinking about those things? No. And the reason why is because the real problem is a socialist framework in blackface instead of a capitalistic framework that dominates in green. All those other people groups that I mentioned, they dominate in green. And this is the part that's going to make you upset and foam at the mouth. But I don't care. I told you I was on one today. I don't care anymore. I ain't got nothing to lose. I'm saying what needs to be said. The reason Black liberation politics keeps failing is because it's not rooted in a worldview that has ever been successful anywhere on the planet. Like it has no framework of success. You can't point to a civilization that has done it and be like, wow, look, they've been thriving for centuries. Everybody knows that it doesn't work except for the Blacks. I don't know why. Everybody knows it doesn't work. But for some reason, it don't stop you jokers from doing it anyway. This how you know. You just be like, you the problem. You're the problem. Because if you look at the socialistic framework and our worldview, not only you realize that it is deficient in so many areas. Now, for example, I wouldn't even argue that the Asians and the Indians are successful because they have some sort of biblical framework or responsibility. No, they don't. Now, they do have a faith that grounds them. It's just not, I would call it, a false religious system, but at least it's something. But if you look at a socialistic framework, it's anti-God, right? And it doesn't produce any sort of economic productivity because it's based on dependence. And you're not going to get moral order. You're not going to get family stability, private enterprise ownership, discipline, hard work, a healthy doctrine of work. You're not going to get any of that. And it's destined to fail because it's rooted in socialism. That's just the truth. Now, if you understood socialism, you would know that socialism teaches people to think in terms of redistribution. We're going to take from this group over here and give it to others. So the people are like, wait a minute, I got to work hard and provide for these jokers who don't want to produce anything of their own. Yes. Socialism teaches people to think in terms of redistribution, not production. And because of that, you will be at the bottom. It's the default position. If you're taught entitlement, you're not going to have an appetite for ownership. You're used to people doing things for you. And so you're not going to look up to leadership to train you in how to be independent. You look for leadership that trains you to think in terms of government extraction. What can the government do for me? You're not thinking in terms of private industry. This is why you fail. I mean, think about it. Y'all are proficient at protesting, but y'all don't know how to build anything. Like you claim you built the pyramids, but y'all can't. I mean, that was a long time ago, and you keep using that as a claim to fame, but we're talking about today. Like today, you know how to make demands, Jamal Bryant, but you ain't got no discipline. And so y'all rather love and chase after the symbolism, whether it's a statue or a flag or a fake holiday, but let somebody talk to you about structure and order. And you will start looking at them like a deer in headlights. Like your needle is perpetually stuck on, what are you going to do for us? Every time you hear them, that's all that's coming out their mouth. You're always talking about what you think that somebody owes you. Always asking, well, where are the resources and where's the funding and the grants and the program for this and the program for that. That's a corrosive mindset. And this is why you have nothing and they expect you to be happy about it. I don't know what it's going to take for you to realize that a people that are trained to ask the state for everything will eventually, your muscles are not going to be equipped to build anything else. You're a perpetual dependent. That's exactly what we're watching today. You can't build strong communities on a worldview that sees the government as provider, the government as daddy. And then think about trying to put some sort of guardrails or standards on the women of that group and say, hey, y'all, let's exhibit a little bit of self-control. No, they're going to view that self-control as oppression. What you supposed to do with that? And then people get mad at me when I say that because they've romanticized dependency. You know how I know how? Because when people find out that I'm a conservative, you know one of the first things that they say to me? They be like, well, I mean, what are Republicans ever done for black people? Or what are Republicans going to do for black people? And I'd be like, see, there it is right there. Romanticized dependency. I don't understand where you learned. Actually, I do. The civil rights movement taught you this. But for some reason, you still don't get it. It is not the government's job to do anything for you. Their job is to get the heck out of your way so that you can function in your freedom. You don't want anything from them. What you want is for them to remove the artificial weights that prevent you from doing for yourself. But you see, when people like King Randall tried to explain that to roly-poly Roland Martin, Roland was looking at him like he had two hands. He was like, what? What you mean do for self? Do for self? Well, how you mean do for self? How you gonna do that? Don't you got to go to the government to get a business license?
We have to get out and go do for self in our own communities.
So, so define do for self.
When I say do for self, you shared one of my tweets, my videos, and I was actually a big fan of yours, but you shared one of my tweets when I said black people need to stop begging the government and go and do for self out in our communities. You shared the video and called me an idiot. I didn't see anything idiotic about that statement at all.
So when you say do for self, like what? Explain that.
Okay, for example, Here in Albany, Georgia, we complain about our school systems a lot. Many of our young men can't read. They have very horrible literacy rates. We don't have any rehab programs here for juvenile offenders. What I decided to do, I started a program 2 years ago, decided to do for self, and I started taking children into my home. I started taking custody of kids from juvenile court, and I started molding them and training them and teaching them skilled trades, etc. Now I'm 21 years old. I just purchased a school here in Albany, Georgia, to combat us being in the government funded schools that are not teaching our children what they need to learn. So that's what I mean by do for self, simply getting up and going out and do it.
So
I beat the stereotype that I'm young, black, in America, and I can't do anything because somebody's holding me down. Absolutely not.
So a question.
Teenagers went and go ahead. Me and some teenagers went and bought a school, and we just bought a school bus simply from going out and doing work. We decided to go fix our own communities. I'm not expecting anything from no politician. I'm not expecting nothing from Donald Trump, Joe Biden, or nobody. We're gonna go do it for ourselves, and that's what I believe we need to be doing.
I'm like, look at you. That man has been dependent for so long that he's been baptized in his own dysfunction. But I don't really believe that. You know why? Because he can say something like that, but in his personal life, he functions like a capitalist. It's just the socialistic framework that he wants you to buy into. That's part of his hustle. It's part of his grift, right? They don't know what to do when I say learn how to function in your freedom. They don't know what to do with that. So since they don't know what to do with that, here come the excuses. They've got every excuse known to man as to why they can't do or achieve. And then when somebody comes along and says, hey, you do realize what you've been doing is really not going to get you closer to liberation. Like this is y'all managing the decay. When you say that, they act like you've committed blasphemy. Like when you actually tell the truth that, hey, you know the communities where y'all in charge are the worst and the outcomes are abysmal, they get angry. They get angry at me, and I'm like, that's not blasphemous what I just said. What is blasphemous is teaching generations of people to worship victimhood, and you want to call that justice. Listen, at the end of the day, my point is very simple, right? The overseers, they don't always wear white faces. Sometimes the new taskmasters, they look just like the people they control. Sometimes they look just like you. And in the case of the Black community, yes, your taskmaster looks just like you. They are the ones managing the misery. It's the Black politicians, the Black pastors, the Black activists, the professors, the Black nonprofit heads, all of the pulpit pimp race hustlers and those grievance merchants. Yes, those are the ones. Let me name them for you. You got Al Sharpton, James Clyburn, Maxine Waters, Roland Martin, Brandon Johnson up there in Chicago, Tamika Mallory, Charlemagne Not the God. And you can throw Joy Reid and Ricky Smiley and D.L. Hughley in there. Listen, I can go on and on. Those are the ones that's your problem right there. It is true. Those people, they may share your melanin count. They may look like you, but a person is not for you just because y'all look the same and have the same skin color. No. If they're profiting from your dependency, that's your handler. Okay? If the people that are getting rich while your neighborhoods get worse and your schools suffer and they rise to national prominence while your children stay trapped in a family school, those are your handlers. They're handlers. They're real good at explaining your pain, but they don't ever have a solution on how to solve a problem. That's your handler. You have subjugated yourself under a managerial oppression. So don't tell me that slavery is not a choice, because many of you are choosing it even to this day. Every time you vote for a Democrat, you are choosing your own oppression. And I'm the whining and complaining, I'm over it. Because listen, if you like slavery, that's cool. You are free. The Declaration of Independence, the Emancipation Proclamation says nothing about voluntary servitude. It will not erect a law against involuntary servitude, but voluntary servitude, you are free to subject yourself to be a servant of the government. No problem. If you like it, I love it. But here's what you cannot do. You cannot complain about it. Nobody wants to hear it. Shut up. Quit your whining. Nobody has sympathy for you, and nobody feels sorry for you, because you get what you get because you choose it for yourself. And listen, I'm not about to argue with a person who's telling me they're oppressed. You're right. I know. We believe you. We're trying to help you, but you've got to want to help yourself. So I'm not fighting against you anymore when you're talking about black oppression. You are absolutely right. It's black on black oppression. So I've gone long enough, but I'm curious to know, what do you guys think? Do you believe, when I talk about black liberation and I ask the question, liberated from what? Like, what does that mean? Should we be asking the pro-woke, blackity black crowd, what is the end goal? Because if the end goal is all of the dysfunction, right, that we currently see, and a socialistic framework within a capitalistic society, if that's the end goal, then they have succeeded. But if progress looks like something else, and it's not representation, and it's not power or political power or being, like, what is the end goal? I'm curious to know. So I want to hear from you. Leave me your thoughts down in the comments below. And until next time, you guys, stand firm, stay bold, and above all else, stay unshakable. Grace and